CEO invites janitor to party, discover the hidden, life-changing bond that changed everything. As dawn broke over the sprawling tech hub, Jake tied back his dark hair, his calloused hands gripping the mop handle like it was a lifeline. The vibrant city awakened around him, but for Jake, each morning was a battle against the weight of responsibility. He was just a janitor, a humble worker whose sweeping movements in the gleaming hallways often went unnoticed. Yet, beneath his worn exterior, a fire burned fiercely for his daughter Emily. She was his world, and Jake believed that hard work and integrity would pave the way for her brighter future. Jake pushed through the double doors into the bustling office. The echo of clicks and chatter blurred into an overwhelming symphony of privilege. He glanced towards the glass-walled offices. The view from there looked so different from the janitor's closet. Whispers fluttered through the air, laden with disdain for those at the bottom. "Another day in my suit," they would chuckle, unaware of the grit it took to keep the place running. Just then, a cacophony erupted. Water gushed from one of the restrooms, creating a small river that threatened to spill into the main hallway. Ugh! Jake leapt into action, determined to tackle the unexpected plumbing disaster. The clanking of pipes drowned out the distant sounds of champagne corks popping where the elite mingled just a breath away. It was all too ironic. They enjoyed the civilized fare while he scrubbed the muck away. Just as he fished a mop from the closet, the building's CEO, Marilyn, came into view. She was a striking figure with confidence radiating from her, preparing her grand entrance for the evening gala. But as she caught sight of Jake, understanding flickered behind her sharp blue eyes. "Jake!" she called, her voice slicing through the chaos. "You've got it under control? Thank you for handling this." "Just doing my job, ma'am," he replied, wiping his brow with a sleeve, modesty washing over him like the water he was fighting. But Marilyn's smile was genuine, and unexpectedly, she invited him to the gala, a gesture that sent tremors through his very being. "You should come, Jake. It'd be nice to show the team who keeps this place running." The murmurs that followed were deafening. How could a janitor possibly belong amidst the elite? 100 emotions battled within him. Could he step into a world that felt so foreign? Before he could voice his apprehensions, the decision weighed heavy at the pit of his stomach. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the gala unfolded, the sparkle and laughter danced mockingly against the backdrop of Jake's reality. He stepped into the room filled with bright lights and polished floors, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. Just then, an elderly war veteran staggered in, a familiar face to Marilyn but a stranger to everyone else. He was met with harsh laughter and careless judgment, their mockery piercing through Jake's heart. Fueled by indignation, he rose to his feet. "That's a hero you're talking to?" he blurted out, the words breaking free as he pointed at the old man, whose eyes flickered with shock. Suddenly, the room held its breath. Jake wasn't just a janitor, he was standing for what truly mattered. Would this bold stand shift the tide? Would it reveal the cracks in a world defined by wealth? As eyes turned to Marilyn, she looked at Jake with newfound respect, their fates entwined now, on the edge of something profound. What would happen next? The silence after Jake's outburst was thick, a tangible pause as if the air itself held its breath. The faces around him shifted, eyes darting from him to the veteran and back. He could feel the weight of judgment and disbelief pressing down on him. This was no place for a janitor to speak up. But that moment felt electric, bursting with a power he'd never known he had. Marilyn stepped forward, breaking the tension with grace. "Everyone deserves respect," she declared, her voice steady and calm. What started as a whisper of support turned into murmurs of agreement from a few people scattered throughout the room. Jake's heart raced. Was this the moment he'd hoped for? The tide was turning, and he could feel it pulling him along with it. He glanced at the old veteran, whose gaze was now softened by surprise. There was a flicker of gratitude in the man's eyes, a silent acknowledgement that Jake's words had cut through the atmosphere like a lifeline. Jake knew then that this was bigger than him. It was about recognizing the dignity each person carries, regardless of their title. The laughter that had met the soldier's entrance now faded, replaced by quiet conversations that murmured through the crowd. The room that once felt so alien now began to shift in his favor. "You're right," one man finally admitted, losing some of his bravado. "We do need to remember where we came from. We're here because of those before us." Jake's heart swelled. Marilyn's eyes sparkled with appreciation and encouragement. She had given him a voice, and now he was ready to use it. "Thank you, Jake," she said softly, moving closer. "It takes courage to stand up for what's right." There was a warmth in her tone that melted the earlier tension, transforming the atmosphere. Just then, a fresh wave of laughter erupted from a corner of the room, but this time it felt distant, almost faded. When the applause started, Jake blinked in disbelief. His cheeks flushed, but he held his ground, soaking in the momentum he'd sparked. Perhaps this evening was about more than standing in another's shadow. Perhaps he belonged here in some small, profound way. After all, as conversations began to shift towards the topic of valuing all employees and their contributions, Jake felt a new wave of hope. He could feel the rhythm of the crowd changing, no longer a barrier but a bridge. They shared a moment, a recognition that even in a world cloaked in labels, humanity still reigns supreme. The night grew warmer, laughter faded into a soft hum, and the band's music enveloped the space in a comforting embrace. Jake found himself conversing with the veteran, sharing stories about family, life, and sacrifice. Marilyn floated between circles, sparking discussions that now included Jake as an integral part, but amidst the camaraderie, he couldn't shake a slight unease. What would his choice lead to tomorrow? This newfound respect, this connection, could it last? The future loomed in the back of his mind, casting shadows on the light of the evening. But for now, he soaked in the laughter and warmth, allowing himself to be swept into the moment. Just as he thought he could breathe easy, Marilyn returned, her eyes glinting. "We need to keep this conversation going, Jake. I want you to join our team, to inspire change from within." Jake's heart stopped. This offer, it could change everything. But there was a price to pay, a potential risk that made him hold his breath. Could he balance this new world with his responsibilities at home? Would Emily understand his choice? The sound of laughter mixed with the clinking of glasses filled the air, but Jake's thoughts spiraled. What path lay ahead for them? Each decision echoed, resonating with possibilities he had only dared dream of. As the evening wore on, he faced a crossroads. Opportunity was knocking, but what door would he choose to open? Jake stood there, the music swirling around him, laughter echoing against the walls. He felt small and large at the same time, wrapped in a moment that was shifting his entire reality. Marilyn's words hung in the air like a vibrant tapestry woven with potential and fear. "Join our team." The phrase replayed in his mind on a loop. But could he step into the spotlight, or were those shoes too big for him to fill? He watched Marilyn move from group to group, a spark in her eyes that seemed contagious. People started gathering around her, and he felt the urge to leave before he lost himself again in self-doubt. A soft voice broke through his swirling thoughts. "You showed real strength tonight," the veteran said, standing beside him. The man's presence was calming, a reminder of the heart behind the uniform he had worn all those years. Courage isn't just for soldiers. Jake turned to him, looking deeply into the wise eyes that had seen so much. "You think so?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Absolutely," the veteran replied, a smile breaking through the lines etched on his face. "The truth is, we all wear our battles in different ways. Some are fought on the field, some in the everyday grind." Jake nodded. He couldn't shake the feeling that his own battle had just begun, and it was one he didn't even know he was gearing up for until now. The connection he felt with the veteran was grounding, like a lighthouse guiding him through the fog of uncertainty. As people continued to gather, Jake felt a little bolder. "I guess it was just time to say something," he admitted. "You spend so long being silent, you forget that your voice matters." The veteran put a hand on his shoulder. "Now you know. And you should carry that knowledge with you." The exchange seeped into Jake, filling him with a strange warmth. The applause still lingered in the backdrop, a gentle reminder of the acceptance he yearned for and now had, if only for a fleeting moment. But before he could linger further on this newfound strength, Marilyn returned, her smile bright against the backdrop of the lively room. "What do you say, Jake? Are you in?" He searched her face, seeking the sincerity behind the offer. "What would that even look like?" he asked hesitantly, a cascade of what-ifs tumbling through his mind. "Change starts slow, but it starts with you," she replied, enthusiasm sparkling in her tone. "We need someone like you, someone who understands what it means to be overlooked. You've faced things from a different perspective, and that can only enrich the team." Jake took a deep breath. Could he really bring change? Would his experiences resonate? Could he bridge the gap that separated the high and low on the corporate ladder? "Together, we can make the workplace better," she continued. "Maybe it's time we reflect that our community is made from voices like yours, not just the voices we expect." Jake's heart raced for a moment, the weight of her words heavy yet exhilarating. "And what about my job now? My home?" Marilyn's eyes softened, sensing his apprehension. "You don't have to decide everything tonight. Just think it over. I believe you can make a difference." The thought of change, the opportunity to forge a new path, filled him with anticipation, yet also a deep-rooted fear. He had often been the one cleaning the floors, not leading the charge at the front lines. As he turned back to the crowd, hearty laughter surrounded him, blending with the melody flowing through the air, but he felt distant. A bubble of uncertainty formed within him again. Could he really leave behind the familiar for the unknown? "What happens if I fail?" he finally asked, his voice soft. Marilyn leaned in closer, her words draped in encouragement. "What if you don't? What if you find out you're capable of more than you ever imagined?" Jake's breath caught in his throat as he pondered the weight of her challenge. The horizon seemed much closer now, but it felt filled with both promise and peril. He looked back into the crowd, his pulse quickening. Behind each smile lay stories and struggles just like his. What choice would he make in the end? Would the brave voice he found tonight lead him toward a new destiny, or perhaps pull him back into the shadows once again? The music crescendoed, urging him to decide. The journey ahead was uncertain, but he felt the flickers of hope pushing him forward. As he met Marilyn's gaze once more, determination began to find a home in his heart. Maybe, just maybe, stepping into the light wouldn't be so terrifying after all. But the deeper question loomed: could he fully embrace this new beginning, or would old fears hold him back? Jake's heart thudded loudly in his chest, matching the rhythm of the music that surged through the room. He glanced at Marilyn, her enthusiasm pulsing like a beacon, and felt the weight of his uncertainty pressing down. Each laugh and smile around him felt like a challenge. Could he truly step into this world that felt so far removed from where he stood? "Jake!" someone called out, breaking his thoughts. It was one of the younger crew members, Tara, waving him over with a big grin. It was contagious enough that he found his legs moving before he could fully process it. Tara was someone who had always mixed in with the higher-ups, forming friendships with ease, and somehow she brought a piece of that warmth along with her. "Come on, join us. We're just celebrating the growth of the team," she said, pulling him into the circle. As soon as he entered, the circle buzzed with laughter and stories, a dull roar that was both inviting and intimidating. Jake felt the knot in his stomach tighten. They were talking about big projects, successes, and failures, but he felt miles away from those experiences they shared. All he could think about was how to be a part of this camaraderie without his past weighing him down. Jake! Tell us about the time you fixed the broken printer. Tara encouraged, her eyes sparkling with mischief. The circle quieted and all eyes turned to him. He chuckled, anxiety fluttering in his chest. I mean, it was just a paper jam. Just a paper jam? You saved us hours. That counts. A guy chimed in. Jake shifted, taken aback by their enthusiasm. Could it be that the little things he did mattered? They saw him as part of the team, and suddenly, the laughter didn't seem so distant. He felt his heart lift a bit, the fear loosening its grip. Yeah, well, sometimes you just have to roll up your sleeves and tackle it, he said, finding a renewed confidence. But just beneath that, the fear still loomed. What about the bigger issues? The corporate politics? The next steps were calling, yet he hesitated. He didn't want this moment to be a fleeting escape. What if stepping into this path meant navigating through more than just paper jams? Marilyn joined the circle, and the energy shifted. I think we all know Jake deserves to take a bigger role in the team, she said, voice ringing out over the others. We could use more voices that resonate with everyone. Laughter subsided as the crowd murmured agreement. The nods and smiles encouraged him, but a part of him still clung to the familiar routine he had known for so long. He maintained eye contact with Marilyn, searching her expression for doubt. Instead, there was pure belief radiating from her, an unfaltering hope that made him lean further into the crowd. Do you really think I'm ready? He asked, vulnerability creeping back in. The words slipped through his lips before he could stop them. Marilyn stepped closer. I do, Jake. Starting is the hardest part, but it's also the most important. You'd be surprised how ready you actually are. The warmth in her voice ignited something within him like a match to gasoline. He could almost feel his fear burn away, replaced by flickers of courageous hope. Around him, friends and colleagues laughed and shared stories. Jake felt the laughter once again, this time pulling him instead of pushing him away. For the first time, he could see himself among them, not just as a janitor but as someone whose voice mattered, whose story mattered, but even with the hope, doubt nestled within. Could he really make a shift? And in making that shift, would he lose the sense of security he long held on to? As he pondered the balance of risk and reward, a nagging question stayed at the forefront of his mind. Was stepping into this new role a leap toward greatness, or would it plunge him into chaos? The music swelled, reminding him that every note had its own journey. Which path would he choose to join in this symphony of life? Jake's pulse quickened as he scanned the room, each face revealing an array of emotions. Was he ready to dive into this new fate? He was about to answer when a phone buzzed on the nearby table, breaking the charged moment. Don't worry, I'll check that. You keep being you, Tara said, giving him a reassuring wink as she walked away. Jake stood there, caught between exhilaration and fear. The question lingered beneath the pulse of the music. Would he step forward? Or let the moment slip away? Jake felt the air shift around him as he processed Tara's words. Her wink, a tiny spark, flickered hope into the edges of his mind. He glanced back at the group, their energy infectious, yet the pull of uncertainty weighed him down like an anchor. Hey, Jake! A voice called from behind him. This time it was Mark, the head of the marketing team, with a friendly smile. He approached, his demeanor swirling with warmth. We were just discussing your contribution to our last project. Seriously impressive how you handled the chaos. Jake felt a rush of warmth creep up his neck. Thanks, Mark. I just did what I could, nothing spectacular. It was more than you think, Mark insisted, leaning casually against a table. We don't always see the mess behind the scenes. But you make our jobs easier. You should feel proud of that. Pride? That wasn't a word Jake attached to himself often. He looked down, trying to hide the color rising in his cheeks. Could he really accept that he was a part of this team? The idea sent jitters of excitement coursing through him. He felt like a kid at a carnival, hovering at the entrance yet wondering if he would ever muster the courage to jump on the rides. "Listen," Mark continued, "we're looking for someone to take the lead on an upcoming project. Your name came to mind, and I think you'd be a great fit." Jake's stomach dropped. "Me? Lead? I don't know if I can do that." "Just take a breath," Mark said, chuckling gently. "You wouldn't be here if we didn't see potential in you. Trust the instincts that got you here. Step up. Who knows, it might just be the thing that turns everything around for you." The words sank into his mind, swirling with Tara's earlier encouragement, with Marilyn's unwavering belief. What if he did step up? What if he chose to be brave, stepping out of the shadow where he had comfortably hidden for far too long? "But what if I fail?" Jake's voice cracked, revealing the hesitation that clung to him. It was a question that shadowed his every thought since he was young. "Failure?" Mark smiled knowingly. "More like a stepping stone. You learn, you adapt. The more you challenge yourself, the bigger your growth. Everyone here fails at something, yet that's how we get better. Just remember, we're all in this together." The sense of camaraderie wrapped around Jake like a warm blanket, reducing the chill of doubt that lingered deep within. He shifted, glancing again at Marilyn, who was now chatting animatedly with others. It seemed every laugh brought her a little closer to what she believed he could be. "It's scary, I know," Tara interjected, returning from her phone check. "But that fear? It also means you care. It means you want it. Don't let it hinder you, let it drive you." A swell of emotions surged through him. For the first time, the fear felt a little different. It wasn't just an anchor, it was a challenge, a daring invitation for him to stretch beyond the familiar web of his past. As laughter erupted around him again, Jake stood tall, reminding himself that each person in this room had also faced their own doubts. They were human, just like him, grappling with their own uncertainties. I'll think about it," he finally replied, unintentional determination flooding his voice. The room buzzed, a symphony of voices that felt more and more like home. They didn't just want him there to clean up after their successes, they wanted him to be part of the entire process. That thought was exhilarating, yet, as excitement filled him, another thought crept in. If he said yes, then the safety of his simple routine would fade into a memory. What lay ahead could be amazing, but it could also be overwhelming. Jake stepped back, absorbing the moment. The laughter, the music, the potential. Could he really embrace a new beginning? The answer danced tantalizingly close as Marilyn caught his eye again. There was a spark in her expression, and it ignited something deeper within him. Jake took a deep breath. What path would he choose to walk? And just at that moment, the music shifted, captivating everyone's attention. Someone shouted for an impromptu dance-off, and excitement surged through the room. Jake hesitated, the pulsing beat calling to him as the crowd moved in sync. Would this really be the moment that changed everything for him? Would he join them? The choice sat before him like an open door, each beat echoing the possibilities waiting on the other side. With his heart racing, Jake stepped forward, ready to leap into the fray. But what lay ahead was far more than just a dance. Jake felt the music wash over him, a powerful current pulling him into the center of the room. The laughter and cheers blended into a rhythmic pulse that seemed to sync with his heartbeat. He glanced to the right, where Tara was already breaking into a joyful groove, her confidence spinning around her like a halo. To the left, Mark seemed fully immersed in the energy, tossing his head back in laughter. He could feel the weight of their eyes on him, waiting, encouraging him to take that leap, to connect. A surge of adrenaline coursed through him, igniting a spark of defiance in his gut. Did he dare? Could he shake off the remnants of hesitance that had clung to him for years? He stepped forward, pushing back the self-doubt that had been his constant companion. The music swelled, and without thinking too hard, he let his body follow the beat. He started moving awkward at first, but as laughter echoed around him, he found his rhythm. With each twist and jump, exuberance bubbled from within. The crowd cheered him on, their energy feeding into his newfound confidence. It felt liberating, the warmth of acceptance wrapping around him, melting away the fear that had often felt like a second skin. Among the swirling colors and movements, he spotted Marilyn again. There she was, laughter lighting up her face, her cheers mixed with those of the crowd. She caught his eye and raised her arms, dancing as if the world outside this room didn't exist. In that moment, their connection felt palpable, a string tying them together across the chaos. The music shifted again, and Jake found himself going deeper into the moment. It wasn't just about the dance, it was about risk, about stepping into the light when darkness felt like home. Every movement became a small declaration of independence, shouting against the fears that had lived in him for too long. Then, unexpectedly, someone pulled him into the center of a circle. The crowd erupted with encouragement as he was lifted by the moment, a wave of exhilaration crashing over him. Here he was, at his office party, dancing with colleagues, feeling like he had just shared a secret with the world. Jake's laughter mingled with the crowd's enthusiasm, and for the first time, he felt himself truly present, alive in a way he'd often dreamed about but never actually believed possible. He twirled and spun, the joy lifting him, carried by the spirit of camaraderie and acceptance that had been bubbling just beneath the surface. However, amid the whirl of celebration, a nagging thought lingered. Was this just a fleeting moment of bravery, or was there something deeper waiting to unfold? In the height of euphoria, he imagined what life could be if he truly embraced this dance, this encouragement, this new way of being. As the song came to an end, cheers erupted like fireworks. Breathless, Jake stepped back, his shoulders lighter, his heart racing with more than just adrenaline. He caught sight of Tara and Mark, their faces glowing with pride and excitement. That's when it hit him, a sudden clarity. What if this was just the beginning of his journey? What if he chose to accept Mark's offer to lead the upcoming project? The fear he had been shrouded in was not insurmountable, it was just part of the process. The echoes of music faded into laughter that felt like home. Jake turned to Marilyn, who was glowing with excitement, and suddenly, the weight of the world didn't feel as heavy anymore. "Are you ready to dance into the next chapter?" she asked, a teasing smile dancing on her lips. His heart pounded at her words, not just an invitation to dance, but a nudge towards something greater. Could he really take this leap? Could he turn this moment into a new beginning? As the night marched on, the atmosphere crackled with possibilities. Jake could almost taste the change sweeping toward him, and he had a feeling that the next chapter would be anything but ordinary. What awaited him in this uncertain yet thrilling journey? Jake's heart raced as he looked into Marilyn's eyes, they sparkled with mischief and possibility. "Let us do it," he replied, his voice steady, surprising even himself. The frenzied atmosphere buzzed around him, amplifying his resolve. As the next song started, something shifted. The crowd swirled into a new rhythm, drawing in those still on the periphery. Mark, with feigned drama, beckoned everyone closer. "Come on. Show us what you've got," he shouted, laughter spilling from his lips. Jake felt a rush of energy thrill through him. This time, the dance wasn't just about him, it was about the connections blooming in the room. Tara danced her way over, pulling him back into the circle. She grinned wide at him, inviting him to release his suppressed worries. "Dance like nobody's watching," she hollered, and with every beat, he started to shed more than just his inhibitions. He shed doubt, fear, and the voices telling him to hold back. He was in a kaleidoscope of color and sound, the world outside the party faded, and for now, it was just him and his colleagues, united in this electrifying moment. Glancing at Marilyn, he saw her skin flush with excitement. They danced in sync, their movements mirroring each other as if choreographed by the joy of the night. He felt lighter than air, as if he could float right out of the building. The fear that had once tied him down was slowly transforming into something unrecognizable. "What's next for you, Jake?" Marilyn's voice was playful, a teasing rhythm accompanying her movements. Her eyes sparkled like stars, and it felt like there was a shared secret floating between them. "I don't know, but I'm ready for whatever it is," he exclaimed, reveling in the empowerment coursing through him. As the evening progressed, laughter intertwined with heartfelt conversations. Other colleagues joined the dance floor, breaking barriers they had once held. Jake caught snippets of their stories. Wendy was finally pursuing her painting, and Ryan had signed up for salsa lessons. Each announcement felt like a piece of a puzzle snapping into place, creating a picture of risk and delight. Perhaps stepping into this vibrant world would lead him, too, to forge new paths. He glanced at Mark, who danced wildly and carefree, his laughter infectious. They shared a moment of eye contact filled with a silent understanding, a bond forming across the music and chaos. But then, just as the dance reached its dizzying peak, the lights flickered, dimming for a moment before brightening again. The song stuttered, creating a ripple of confusion that swept through the crowd. People momentarily stopped dancing, and conversations faded into murmurs. Jake's heart sank, a brief flash of panic hitting him. What if this was it? What if the moment ended, leaving him to face his fears again? Then, in the dim light, he scanned the crowd, taking in the familiar faces of his colleagues. How could he retreat back into that shell? "Let us keep this party going," Tara yelled, reigniting the energy. She broke the tense moment, leading the way back to laughter and dance. With a new spark of conviction, Jake felt the urge to speak up, draw others back in, to remind them of their shared journey. "Who's with me? Let us go," he hollered, lifting his arms in the air as the music kicked back into gear. One by one, more bodies joined him, laughter rising into the air, and once more, camaraderie enveloped them. As they danced, Jake felt a grounding force rising within him. This was not just a party. It was more. He was awakening to a new way of being, ready to embrace whatever came next. Just as he thought the moment couldn't get any better, he caught sight of Marilyn again, her smile radiant, but right then, his phone buzzed in his pocket. The unsettling sound brought a rush of reality crashing back, jolting him just when he was twisting into a moment of bliss. He hesitated momentarily, wondering if he really wanted to check it. After all, the excitement of the party clung to him like a warm embrace. But curiosity gnawed at him. What if it was important? As he reached for his phone, a new voice sliced through the laughter. "Jake! You need to see this." It was Mark, waving his arms urgently. Jake turned towards him, his pulse quickening with anticipation. What could it possibly be? Could it be more than just a text? Could it change the course of this night, maybe even his life? Jake felt a twist in his gut as he stepped away from the pulsating dance floor, the cheerful atmosphere dimming slightly under the weight of his curiosity. He half turned toward Mark, catching the urgent gleam in his friend's eyes. "What's up?" he called out, trying to mask the whirlwind of emotions swirling within him. Mark pushed through the lingering crowd with an energy that was contagious. "You won't believe it. Just look," he insisted, practically jumping up and down as he held out his phone. Jake took a breath, stepping closer to catch a glimpse. The screen displayed a video clip a moment captured on camera. It was the company's annual award ceremony, just a few weeks ago. The room looked lavish, a stark contrast to the carefree party scene. Jake squinted to make out the fuzzy images, before his breath caught in his throat. The video showed their CEO, Mr. Carter, giving an award speech, a routine part of the ceremony. It was a speech he'd seen before, filled with corporate jargon and aspirations. But in this clip, something was different. As Mr. Carter began to call up the next recipient for an award, the camera panned to a figure standing off to the side, the janitor, Mr. Jenkins. "Wait, what?" Jake muttered, pointing to the screen incredulously. "Is that Jenkins?" "Yeah," Mark replied, his voice a mix of disbelief and excitement. "He's getting an award for years of service." And listen to Carter. Jake turned his gaze back to the phone, leaning in closer. Mr. Carter spoke, his voice booming with pride. "Mr. Jenkins has been the cornerstone of this company." The camera focused on Jenkins, his face a blend of surprise and joy, a humble smile lighting up his expression. For years he had kept the office clean, but tonight, he was being celebrated, a recognition he truly deserved. "Look at that!" Tara chimed in, having joined them. "Who knew? I mean, he's just always there, you know. But he's such a big part of the team. It's amazing." As they watched, the crowd clapped, and someone shouted, "We love you, Jenkins." The camaraderie in that moment, the genuine warmth in the room, sent a shiver down Jake's spine. He felt a rush of pride build in his chest, one that echoed the shared experiences and stories they'd all just exchanged on the dance floor. "I'll bet you he has stories," Mark remarked, eyes gleaming. "We should invite him to one of our parties. Get to know the guy." "That's actually a brilliant idea," Tara agreed, her enthusiasm infectious. "Seeing him on stage made me think how many people we overlook every day, just doing their jobs." Jake nodded slowly, feeling a wave of purpose wash over him. It was true. People they passed by each day had stories that could rival their own. Stories of struggle, dreams tucked away while they worked, moments of inspiration waiting to be shared. For a fleeting second, a vision flickered in Jake's mind. He could organize something, a gathering not just for the employees, but also for the support staff, the unsung heroes of the office. Their world expanded beyond the confines of the office, revolving around the shared human experience. Just then, the lights dimmed again, and the music shifted to a softer tone. People started breaking away from the dance floor as they caught the vibe, their laughter lingering in the air. A sense of intimacy settled, a unique blend of connection and discovery that felt like the perfect moment, but while Jake stood there, considering the possibility, another vibration buzzed through his pocket. He glanced at his phone just as more notifications came in, emails filled with unanswered questions from work. Was this a sign? The festivity was dancing just out of reach, pulled back by the demands of reality. He took a deep breath. He wanted to explore this idea, to share it with Mark and Tara, to open the door to more connections, more stories. "Let's dive into this after the party," he proposed, excitement bubbling within him, but before he could elaborate, a familiar voice caught his attention. "Jake! You won't guess who just arrived." The chatter shifted, pulling his attention away from the phone. Dread washed over him. What now? As he turned, he felt his curiosity spike again. Who had come that would surprise him? And more importantly, what did it mean for his newfound moment of freedom? With each passing second, the atmosphere built around him like a ready-made storm, a sense of inevitable change brewing. The crowd parted, and Jake's heart raced as he caught sight of the figure standing at the entrance. It was none other than Mr. Carter himself, the CEO, and right beside him was Mr. Jenkins, the janitor. The two shared a laugh, and for a moment, Jake couldn't decide whether to run forward to greet them or hide behind a wall of partygoers. "Did they come here together?" Jake whispered, barely able to process what was happening. Mark gave him an enthusiastic nudge. "No way. This is a big deal. Look at their faces." Mr. Carter was animated, a huge smile plastered across his face, his hands gesturing as if he were retelling some inside joke. Jenkins stood beside him, a little unsure but beaming with pride. This was beyond anything Jake had ever witnessed at a company function. "Can you believe this?" Jake said to Mark, hardly able to contain his excitement. "They're breaking barriers here." Mark replied, his eyes wide with wonder. As Mr. Carter led Jenkins further into the party, people turned to greet them. The energy shifted. Conversations buzzed, laughter danced through the air, and suddenly, the atmosphere felt electric. Jake felt the urge to approach. Maybe this was the opportunity he had been waiting for, to unify the office, to acknowledge the hidden stories that lay beneath the surface. He glanced at Tara, whose wide smile mirrored his own. "Should we go talk to them?" he asked, heart racing. Before Tara could answer, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd as someone caught Jenkins' attention. "Hey, Mr. J. You're in the spotlight now." That seemed to embolden Jenkins. He stepped forward, his posture a bit straighter, a flicker of confidence sparking in his eyes. Jake could see so much more to him, something beyond the uniform he always wore. "Tonight's about celebrating everyone," Mr. Carter announced, and the room fell silent, all eyes on him. Not just the leadership or the top performers, but every single person who keeps this place running. "That includes you, Jenkins." The crowd erupted into applause, creating a thunderous roar that filled Jake's heart with emotion. Here was a moment that encapsulated everything he had been wanting: a blending of lives, a breaking down of walls. Jake's eyes sparkled with tears, while he and Tara exchanged a knowing glance. This was bigger than any award, it was about the respect and acknowledgement everyone deserved. "Come on, let us go mingle," Mark said, pumping his fist in the air before turning towards the duo. With newfound courage, Jake pushed through the vibrant mix of people, following Mark and Tara. They approached Mr. Carter and Jenkins as the conversation flowed. Jake introduced himself, shaking Jenkins' hand with a firm grip. "You really deserve this," Jake said, sincerity softening his usual bravado. "What inspired you to stick around for so long?" Jenkins chuckled, still glowing from the recognition. "Well, it's simple really. I love cleaning up the messes and keeping things neat, but it's the people that keep me coming back. Everyone here matters." Mr. Carter nodded in agreement, his eyes fixed on Jenkins with admiration. "He has always had the best stories too, ones that remind us of why we do what we do." The conversation flowed like a gentle river as people shared stories that weaved their lives into a tapestry of belonging. But just then, the music shifted again, and the room darkened slightly. A spotlight flickered, drawing attention away from the group, and Jake felt a shift in the air. "What now?" he murmured, curiosity piqued once more. Across the room, a new guest entered, someone whose presence seemed to demand attention. Jake squinted as the lights illuminated the person, and he felt that familiar tension knotting his stomach. Could this turn into another unexpected twist? Would this night end on a note he never anticipated? The crowd fell silent, eyes glued to the entrance as a fresh wave of suspense washed over the party. What new stories were about to unfold? The familiar figure stepped forward, and Jake's heart raced as he recognized her: Sarah, the head of HR, a woman known for her fierce dedication to promoting not just efficiency but empathy within the company. Her gaze swept across the crowd, an aura of confidence radiating from her as she approached the trio of Mr. Carter, Jenkins, and Jake. The whispers grew louder. What could she want? Tara murmured beside Jake, her eyes wide with excitement. Maybe something big, Jake replied, his breath hitching in anticipation. Sarah took the stage, her voice inviting yet commanding. "I want to address something," she began, pausing to let the murmurs dissipate. "Tonight is a celebration, not just of achievements, but of every single person who contributes to our success. That includes you, Jake." The crowd turned toward him, a wave of surprise crashing over him. "You stood up tonight for what matters. You changed the conversation, and it's time we acknowledge that." Jake's heart soared. The warmth of recognition flooded through him, smoke from the fireworks of possibilities igniting his spirit. "Wow, thank you," he stammered, not quite prepared for this moment. "The truth is," she continued, "we need voices like yours to inspire change. And not just change within the office, but a complete transformation of our culture. We're setting up a new initiative, one that invites perspective from everyone on the team, and we want you to be a part of it. Will you join us?" The word settled like a fire, igniting a spark in his chest. "Yes. Absolutely." The affirmation burst forth from his lips before he even fully processed it. It felt right, the weight of the decision pushing against the fears and doubts that had tangled in him for too long. Cheers erupted once more, and the energy in the room intensified. Jake could see the excitement in Marilyn's eyes as she stepped forward to join Sarah, offering her own encouragement. You'll be leading discussions, helping create workshops that promote diversity and inclusion. We believe all voices deserve to be heard, she promised, her passion evident. As the crowd embraced the news, Jake felt a rush of support wash over him. They were rallying together, united by this fresh possibility, and he felt the walls he had built around himself begin to crumble. Could it really be true? Was this the new beginning he had hoped for, swiftly materializing before his eyes? With every cheer, every smile turned in his direction, he knew he wasn't standing alone anymore. The camaraderie he felt while dancing, the relationship sparking into being through shared efforts, they were no longer fleeting. They were becoming part of the fabric of the future he dared to imagine. Each voice mattered, and he, too, was a part of that equality. As the excitement swelled, Jake cornered the moment, absorbing it all. He turned toward Jenkins, inspired by the journey of an unsung hero standing shoulder to shoulder with company leadership. "You keep inspiring people," he said to the janitor, gratitude threading through his voice. "You've always had that gift." "Just like you, Jake," Jenkins replied, a proud smile gracing his face. "It's in all of us to uplift one another." With new determination anchoring him, Jake shifted his gaze to Sarah, then back to Marilyn, their hope igniting something impossible to ignore. "Let us make this a place where every story finds its voice," he called out, embracing the camaraderie and sharing resilience as they all cheered in unison, and in that moment, amidst the dancing, the laughter, and the promise of tomorrow, Jake realized that he belonged. The fears that once paralyzed him were now the fuel for his journey forward. Change was daunting, but it was also exhilarating, and together, they would take their first step into the astonishing unknown that lay ahead. As they celebrated tonight, Jake knew this was just the beginning, and he was ready to embrace every challenge, every dance, every story that awaited him. Don't wait not even one more second to share this inspiring journey with your friends. You need to subscribe now to follow along as we dive deeper into more incredible stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to help keep this message alive and make a difference in the world today. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about tonight's transformation. Let us celebrate this journey together. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this impactful evolution and ignite change in their lives. This is the moment to show your support.